I've seen three entities. One that they brought in that they said was going to be, well, that I helped bring in, but they said he was to be the one to be Christ, which is actually, it's kind of hard to explain. Some people probably understand what I'm talking about. When I mention avatar, it's actually a possession that takes place of a human being.
So they brought in the being who was not with this avatar as of yet.
Yeah, but had been chosen for that. He was not the highest ranking one in Lucifer's hierarchy.
What did he look like?
He was very handsome. They're all very handsome. He looked like kind of Mediterranean looking. He had kind of grayish, bluish eyes. He would appear to be, at that time, it would have been, probably looks around in his early 30s.
Mm-hmm.
And he likes to look like that. He chose the way he would look. And his birth date, interesting enough, I looked at it is like an occult date. It was October 11th, and I think it was in '84. So those were kind of occult dates too. I didn't recognize it at the time, but I looked back later, and that's an interesting date. But that's one being.
Okay, and these beings, what happened to them? How come they're not on the world stage as of now to take over for this Christ Antichrist scenario?
That's a good question. I don't know. Some of them may be just influencing others. Some of them, the plan was that they originally were going to be walk-ins, that they were going to. Okay, I'm telling a story as they told me. It could be this part could be a lie. What I was told was that originally they were going to work through human beings, be walk-ins, like possessing them. And then they changed their mind. They wanted to possess their own bodies. So when I left the organization, we were actually creating physical bodies for these beings to walk around in so that they could manifest themselves on this physical plane for longer periods of time, and that they could transport themselves without without jets. I can't even remember the term for that, but so I don't know if this person is going to show up. I don't know how that's going to work, but I think the important point is, what's the most real thing that ever happened to me in all this, that is the turning point for me, is I had to stand face to face with a being that they called the most illumined of all. If anybody on the face of this earth experienced what I did, they would have no doubt whatsoever that there is an Antichrist.
Well, tell me about that. Tell me a story. Your face-to-face encounter with this Antichrist.
Okay, this was a light. This was a being that was stories and stories tall. He was just brilliantly white light. He was just the presence of him was like of complete love and beauty and just everything wonderful. I felt like it was Jesus Christ. I didn't know that I knew who Jesus Christ was. It's like it was in my heart that I recognized, and this being was even more of what a human being could imagine in their mind what Jesus Christ would be. If you're familiar with Jesus Christ in the Bible, if you really center on his words and listen to them and they become a part of you, this being actually emanates all that equally. But if you don't know, I had to show me Jesus was real so that I would see that they have an Antichrist, that's their Christ, the one the United Nations is trying to set up as the global rule.
Wow.
Am I still on air?
Yeah, I'm trying to take all this in here. The United Nations is trying to set up this Antichrist. That is correct. That has been very, very well researched. I'm curious. I got to know, Carolyn, what did the organization teach you of Jesus Christ in comparison to Lucifer? How are you illuminated ones? What are you illuminated ones taught of Jesus Christ? What do they say about him?
It depends on, there's so many different teachings on the different levels. One of the main teachings is that Jesus and the Christ are two separate things. That Jesus was a man, and that he gave up, he became like a walk-in, got possessed, so to speak, by a higher evolved being called, well, they call him an avatar. That avatar took control of Jesus, the man's body, for the 3-year ministry. And Jesus died on the cross, they say, and the avatar left before that time. So they say Jesus earned his mastership for the ascended masters to allow that Christ for that age to use the body of Jesus. Now, interesting enough, people don't pay attention to Jesus Christ. You would think that if he's an ascended master, oh yeah, you should read the words of Jesus in the Bible. Do they teach that? No, they try to get you away from who he is.
Yeah.
So then they don't teach you about Jesus. They want you to ignore Jesus. But when you get to the top levels, in order for you to know who Lucifer is, you have to know who Jesus is. They want you to know so that you can bow to Lucifer.
Yeah.
Because Lucifer is against God.
Of course.
He's the created.
Let's put that aside for now, Carolyn. What would it's been very well researched and documented, as people who listen to the show know that I am huge. I've been researching the Illuminati for many years. It's what started me to do this program, and the Freemasons as well. Excuse me. Illuminati people, members of the established order, have infiltrated levels of government, finance, politics, schools. How do these members infiltrate all these organizations?
It's been going on for a lot of years. Well, I can give you one instance. My mother she worked, gosh, it's like an everyday living. Let's put it in the way of like a Christian. They're evangelizing. They evangelize when they go to the grocery store. They evangelize when they go to the doctor. They evangelize when they go vote. It's whatever they do. If that's what they have their allegiance to, that's what they do. That's on their mind, and they'll put a plug or a seed here and there, and that's what people in the organization do. They may be on a lower level. They may think they're on like the highest level of understanding, but in that level of understanding, they will try to plug what they know as being the truth. So my mom was involved in education. She was a teacher for about a year. She plugged some of that information into her 6th grade classroom. I did with all of my friends. We infiltrated churches. We were sent to various churches to do just that, infiltrate, and sometimes
Carolyn? No, I was going to say, when you say infiltrate, how exactly did you infiltrate churches? What was your role? What did you do exactly?
Well, it depended on the church, and it depended on if we were sent to after a specific person. My mother was sent after a pastor, and she actually telepathically dictated a sermon to this pastor. But that was after she and some of her group physical members had been working on this pastor, putting little seeds here and there in his mind, and making suggestive statements, not in sexually, but in scriptural suggestive statements, till finally he was open to the idea that maybe he could telepathically receive a sermon. That's a story I won't go into now, but I've written it, and it's on my blog. Something I'll be updating later is my blog. I was sent in to after some priests in a Catholic church, and I was sent in with several other people into a charismatic church before. And what we would do is we would pick out people who were sensitive to some of our teachings and just lead them astray. We didn't consider them leading them astray. We were considering giving them an opportunity to progress spiritually.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my mentor knew what we were doing. That we weren't trying to. Okay, the mentors know that that you're not offering the opportunity. They're actually collecting servants to do their bidding. But we would be presenting it as hey, you're gifted, come join us, and if you want to stay in the church, God wants you in the church. Why don't you affect other people with this doctrine? You know, you're too good for this lower class doctrine that sticks straight to what Jesus teaches. Let's show you the higher levels.
Okay. Let's get into exactly the Illuminati, the illuminated ones. How exactly? What is their end game, Carolyn? What is their goal with humanity? What are they trying to do here on Earth?
Well, the physical members, I think it probably varies according to the members. I don't know personally. I don't think I know personally any of the top members. Most of those people at the top levels do worship Lucifer. So I would assume that they're caught up in any of the evils that Lucifer is about, and they thrive on that, which is the power.
Mm-hmm.
They think they're better than everybody else. They're deceived by that. They totally believe that, and they totally believe everybody's scum under their feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So why would they care? They want to see them crushed. Then there's the level up below that there's people that actually care for others. Mm-hmm. that they still think that they're helping others by leading them toward that New World Order.
And speaking of New World Order, let's get into Bush Sr. and Jr. in the Bush family. Tell me what you know about them. I know that they are extensively, huge involvement in this organization. Tell me what you know about the Bush family.
I know that when I was 4 years old, I was told that there would be a man that the organization was going to choose that was going to give a speech and start introducing some of our esoteric words. They called it making it exoteric. And I don't have time to go into it right now what all that means about what this particular person, what was all involved in this particular speech. But I waited my entire life. Okay, first of all, I was told it was going to be toward the end of this century, and it was going to mark a launching into from the plan, what they call the plan for the New World Order, to the above ground, to start working more blatantly before people and using some more mind control techniques to the masses. Well, that speech was George W. Bush Sr. He gave the speech September 11th, 1990. The organization loves their numbers. They love 11s and they love 9s. And he introduced several of the words that were esoteric, and my ears perked up right away and knew exactly what that meant. Then on March 6, 1991, he gave another speech. It was a speech to Congress, and he mentioned the New World Order several times. And March is the third month, and then we have the sixth day. So we have another 9. 6 plus 3, 9. So we have another 9 plus 1991. They like those numbers.
Yeah, numerology is huge with these weirdos out there. Yeah, really huge.
So right off the top of my head, that's the main part that I know about them. I know that they were planning to use George Bush the Jr. on the Christian level, to say that he's Christian, to get the Christians to start following him.
Yeah.
That was some of the beginning of the manipulation of the Christian church.
Yeah, he's a real winner. What they picked in Bush Jr.
Yeah.
a real
I lost
winner.
some friends. I definitely lost some friends over that. Interesting thing is that I knew the signs. I knew when this was coming. I actually told people that George Jr. was going to win that election and actually selection, and I told them exactly what to expect during that administration. I lost friends over that, and then I lost Christian friends over me trying to remind him of his background.
Mm-hmm.